Hi there. Lovely to see you today. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dr. Nicole Ponsford, and I am the co-head of education here at Microlink. And I am very excited about hosting What's New in AT today. Today, I'm joined by Simon Kitchen. He is representing Dolphin. He's now the commercial officer at Dolphin, and Simon's worked in the assistive technology sector for over 18 years. During this time, he's played a key role in launching innovative products and services, including Supernova Education Kit, Easy Reader Education and Guide Connect, that enable people with vision impairments and dyslexia around the world to succeed in education, thrive in the workplace, and live more independently at home. Simon is a strong advocate for user-centered design, ensuring that the needs and experiences of Dolphin customers shape every stage of the product and service journey. So Simon, I'm very excited about hearing about your work and what you've got to offer. So I'm going to pass straight over to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Nick. And I've just started sharing some PowerPoint slides. So hopefully, if you could just give me a thumbs up, Nick, that you can see some PowerPoint slides on the screen there. That's excellent. And I think I need to switch to them. There we go. So yeah, thank you very much for the introduction, Nick. So as mentioned, my name is Simon Kitchen, Chief Commercial Officer at Dolphin. And in today's session, we're going to be talking very much about assistive technology and in a very progressive way about some of the new features that are being built into Dolphin assistive technology, both today and in the future as well. So you're going to get a bit of a sneak peek into kind of the direction of travel that some of our tools are taking. But we've got a very big emphasis today on empowering independence for young people with special education needs. So really from today's session, what we're looking to help to build is a good understanding of some of the fantastic assistive technology products that we provide here at Dolphin, and also how we are using AI tools within the technology to actually make more content accessible and empower more young people to read, to study and learn in a way that works for them. So a little bit about Dolphin. So we are an assistive technology company based here in the UK. Our head office is in Worcester in the Midlands. And as mentioned on the title slides, we exist and the company exists to empower independence for people with vision impairments and for people with special education needs, including dyslexia, ADHD, and young people who are autistic as well. So the software that we provide at Dolphin is empowering thousands of people around the world so that they can read, study, and work in a way that is accessible for them. And we're going to be exploring some of those solutions today, such as Supernova and Guide Connect and Easy Reader as well. But the other thing I did want to say is that Dolphin has been around for a long time and we're very central to the assistive technology community. So we're actually celebrating 40 years of accessibility and innovation this year. And so, yeah, we are a long-standing company with a good reputation within the assistive technology industry for delivering solutions that really help to remove barriers for people with vision impairments and special education needs. So our session today, so we are talking very much about assistive technology, but as mentioned, we are also highlighting some of the new functionality, which is utilizing AI in a responsible way. And we know that often when we talk about artificial intelligence, there are some concerns, particularly about the mainstream use of artificial intelligence. So we're going to look through some of those, but then actually circle back around on how taking a more integrated approach with the assistive technology can help to overcome some of these concerns and help to make more content accessible for people with disabilities. And I'm quite keen for this to be a practical session. So we are going to be looking at the assistive technology today. So we're going to go through some practical examples of using AI within assistive technology to empower people with vision impairments and special education needs to be more independent and, as mentioned, to read, study and learn in a way that works for them. So just to kick off a little bit, what is AI? And before the session, I did a little bit of a Google to try and get a definition, and you'll be amazed by the amount of different definitions you've got because AI kind of means different things for different people. So I actually thought it'd be a nice idea to ask an AI engine what AI is, and ask it to do so more from an education standpoint, which is very much the focus of what we're talking about today. So I asked Copilot, which is the Microsoft AI service, and it highlighted that artificial intelligence is when computers are taught to do things that usually require human thinking, like reading text, recognizing pictures, or learning from past examples. So examples of the kind of mainstream services that are using that are AI engines. So Microsoft have Copilot, which is what I used to create this definition. Just asked it a question and it gave me the definition. Other solutions include Gemini by Google and ChatGPT by a company called OpenAI as well. And these are fantastic services in terms of what they can do, the information they provide, and the barriers that they can remove for people. But when we are specifically within an education space, we do know and we do hear of concerns from educators. For example, is the AI stopping students from learning for themselves or giving an unfair advantage? Is it sharing personal data, or is it going to be misused by students? And actually, one of the points on the Department for Education's AI strategy was actually making it to using AI to empower teachers, because there have been concerns about actually is AI replacing teachers as well. But today we're not talking about the sort of mainstream use of AI, of using Copilot or Gemini or ChatGPT. We're talking about a more integrated approach. So, but before we look at those, integrating within this assistive technology, but before we look at those and those practical examples, let's just go through some of these concerns and just highlight actually some of the ways that a more integrated approach with assistive technology is helping to overcome some of these concerns, as well as removing the barriers. So firstly, if we talk about, are we giving students an unfair advantage by enabling young people with special education needs to be using AI tools? But on the flip side to that, we know that there's lots of young people, whether they are vision impaired or dyslexic, facing barriers to reading and understanding content. And actually, this is where the assistive technology with AI tools can do an even better job in leveling the playing field, because we're focused with our use of AI on removing those barriers to accessing and understanding content and reframing it so that young people can be more independent and learn with the same content, but in a way that works for them. We've also been quite careful to, as best as possible, to make sure that where we're using AI, that we're instructing it to answer questions about the content it is given, and actually use what we call a Socratic model to scaffold the student's learning. So if a student asks a question about some content, rather than some of our tools, rather than just giving them the answer, as you'll see when we go through the practical examples, the AI won't give them the answer, but it will guide them to the areas of maybe the book that they're reading, to kind of help them to kind of become more active with their learning and actually learn for themselves rather than replacing their ability to learn. But ultimately, what we're talking about is, rather than giving an unfair advantage, we're providing the tools to help young people with special education needs to become more active learners. The second query we mentioned there is around, is AI within assistive technology sharing personal data that perhaps is infringing policies for educators? And one of the great things here is that when you're using artificial intelligence within Dolphin tools, or you're using that type of functionality, you are not sending data to, and I've quoted VAI. Actually, at Dolphin, we host the AI models on our servers. So what happens is you will ask a question, and that gets sent to our servers. It's then processed, and then the answer is given back. And after that happens, the data is removed as well. So we've actually got that affordance that we're not infringing sort of personal data or sending personal data elsewhere. The only exemption of that is if you actively give feedback and say, yes, that was helpful, and in which case it does. We do store some data there to improve our services, but on the whole, we're not. The data is removed afterwards, so it is a lot safer from a personal data perspective. And also within our product Supernova, as we'll go through in a short while, there are options available for the IT team to turn the AI features off as well. So that adds an extra level of sort of safeguarding. The next question Will my students misuse AI and assistive technology? And I think this is always a difficult one to actually say, because I don't think there's a single thing that young people wouldn't attempt to misuse, however possible. I remember when the first text-to-speech engines were brought out, I think the first thing that young people would do is try to make the text-to-speech say words that it perhaps shouldn't do. But the great thing with using AI within assistive technology is we can add more levels of control. First of all, as I mentioned, we do instruct the AI to focus on the content it's given, and that's definitely an area which we're kind of looking to improve on and tighten up over time as well. But if there are safeguards in place, so if a student does ask inappropriate questions, then it will come up with an answer. Sorry, I can't help with that. So that, there is a level of safeguarding there. But the key point really is to make sure that when we're using any tool, and especially when we're using AI, is to make sure that students understand how to be using AI and are using it and their assistive technology in a way that is responsible as well. And finally, before we start to look at some of the practical examples, is AI and assistive tech going to be replacing teachers? And this again is an interesting question, but one actually, to flip it around, the artificial intelligence is actually going to help to empower teachers, not replace teachers. Because what we're talking about is actually giving more time to teachers, whereas before perhaps teachers having to rush off to a photocopier or spend time describing images or reading text or trying to remove accessibility barriers. Using AI tools within assistive technology can help to remove some of those barriers, which means that our teachers can actually be spending more time supporting students with their learning, to develop higher order thinking, and actually help our young people to get a greater depth of knowledge with what they're learning. So that's some of the, just to kind of overcome some of the sorts of concerns. But then now we're going to move over to actually start to look at some practical examples of assistive technology and how the AI tools, which are now available or soon to be available, are actually helping to make more content accessible. So we're going to start off with a product called Supernova, which is all about removing barriers for young people with vision impairment. So we're going to be looking at how using AI we can make even more content accessible within a curriculum space. We're then going to move on and look at another product, which is called Guide Connect, which is more a simplified accessibility tool for people who perhaps find using Windows computers a little bit too complex. And we're going to find out how the same technology can actually help to empower an additional group of people, whether that's senior elderly people at home or young people who perhaps need a more simplified and streamlined approach. And then thirdly, we're going to be having a little look into the future and to what the direction of travel is with Dolphin tools as well. So we're going to be looking at a product called Easy Reader, which is already available and is a flexible reading accommodation to support young people with special education needs so they can read and learn in a way that's accessible for them. And we're going to be looking at how the AI tools are actually enabling greater personalization so that young people can really understand the content that they're reading in a way that works for them. So let's start off with the first example, which is Supernova. So Supernova is world-leading magnification and screen reading to empower people with vision impairments. It makes Windows devices accessible. So we're talking about Windows laptops, Windows tablets, and Windows desktop computers. Supernova, it empowers young people in education. So young people with vision impairments to have full access to the curriculum, to curriculum materials throughout their time in education. It also empowers people in the workplace to be able to do their jobs in a way that's accessible for them and be productive and really succeed through their careers. And it also helps people at home to be more independent when they're using a computer. And equally, just as we know with vision impairment, there's no sort of one size fits all model because everybody's experience of sight loss is different. And with Supernova, we are supporting people with all levels of vision because we have different editions available. For people with low vision, we have Supernova Magnifier, which includes the magnification features. For people with fluctuating sight or people who need a little bit of text to speech to read back documents, we have Supernova Magnifier and Speech. And for people who have more progressive sight loss, perhaps using magnification today, but eyesight is deteriorating over time, we have Magnifier and Screen Reader, which includes a complete screen reader as well as the magnification features as well. So Supernova, as we mentioned, within an education space is all about empowering young people with vision impairments to read, to study and learn independently. We're talking about providing accessibility throughout the school day so that our young people can be integrated into the classroom environment, can succeed in education and achieve everything that they're capable of in education and prepare for the next steps in the future. So Supernova does this firstly by making the Windows environment accessible, using magnification, using speech, and providing accessibility for hundreds of Windows apps such as Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, web browsers, Adobe Reader, lots of other applications, so that our young people with vision impairment can be using their computer in a way they find accessible. But then Supernova also goes above and beyond to make more curriculum content accessible. So firstly, with Supernova, it also includes Easy Reader, which provides access to over 1 million curriculum titles from RNIB Bookshare to read at school and at home. It also provides a connection to the teacher's whiteboards so that students can be sitting anywhere in the class to view the teacher's whiteboard on their screen without having to kind of sit at the front and struggle to sort of view or be reliant on a teaching assistant to describe what's on the screen. And we also have connections to cameras and scanners to make printed resources accessible within Supernova as well. So rather than teachers having to rush off to the photocopier, students can be using their camera to view printed worksheets and then complete them in a way that they find accessible as well. So I'll stop sharing and I'll flick over. Hopefully now you should be able to see Supernova on the computer. So this is Supernova. I'll give you a very brief introduction to how Supernova works before we then move on and start to use some of the AI facilities. So the first thing to mention with Supernova, it is entirely flexible in terms of how young people can interact with their computer. So you can use the mouse to explore the screen. So I've got a nice big mouse pointer to move around what's on the screen. If I turn the speech on, whiteboard. So we can also navigate through the control panel using the keyboard. Camera on check box. Whiteboard on check mark. So we can explore the screen using our keyboard as well. I'll just turn the voice off temporarily. Speech off. But we can also use the touch screen to explore the screen, and we find that this is particularly useful for young people with low vision because it's a much more intuitive way to explore the screen. So we can just move around nice and easily with one finger, and then we can pinch to zoom in. What we do find is using the touch screen really gives our young people a lot more control about how they explore the screen, because when I'm zooming into the text, it's zooming into where my finger is, and when I move around, it's moving around based on where my finger is as well, rather than sort of using a mouse. You'll notice that the text is extremely smooth. If I was to turn the text smoothing off, this is kind of what happens, this pixelation with some of the other magnification products that are available. But with Supernova, we have one level of text smoothing, which sort of smooths out the edges. And then we can go into what we call our true font text smoothing, which makes text perfectly smooth, even at the highest levels of magnification. So we can go into a Word document just to show you from a student perspective. They can explore the screen. They can zoom in to a size which is comfortable. We're just in a Word document now, but as we're exploring the screen, Supernova is tracking where they are. So with Supernova, the magnification follows the student rather than the student having to find where they are on the screen, so they never get disorientated. If you do get disorientated, maybe you've moved the mouse to the side of the screen, all you have to do is press the arrow key and the focus jumps straight back to where the cursor position is. So it's just gone a little bit blurry there. Should have sorted out. And we've also got options in there to change the color contrast. We know there's lots of young people who prefer darker backgrounds to read rather than the lighter backgrounds because it can help to reduce glare. So we can turn our color changing on as well. So we can make this screen and the Windows environment accessible. We've also got the options for speech to read back as we're exploring the screen, to read back as we're to read back, each character, read back as we're typing. And also, if we wanted to do a continuous read, we can just press the numpad plus, and it's going to do Supernova is going to read back that document to us.
Rarely appears directly in the story, but plays a crucial role in both the plot. Thank you for coming today in the develop.
So it's going to read back the content to us as well. So that's the main affordance with Supernova is all in terms of making the Windows environment accessible. But as I mentioned, with Supernova, we really go above and beyond to make more content accessible as well. So as well as using Microsoft Office applications, if I go into our media tab, we've got options to open Easy Reader to get access to curriculum titles. We are going to be talking about Easy Reader later, so I'll cover that at that point. We can also open files from the scanner and from the clipboard as well. And we can do things like view the whiteboard. So if I open the whiteboard connection, we've now got the teacher's whiteboard on our screen. We can zoom in, we can explore the screen in a way that's accessible for us and sit anywhere in the classroom to view the whiteboard. We can also multitask with the whiteboard. So we can go back into our Word document and then just move the mouse pointer, and then we're back into the whiteboard again. So we've got accessibility, within the classroom environment. We can sit anywhere and we're fully integrated into that classroom. As mentioned as well as connections to whiteboards, Supernova also works with a range of cameras and scanners to make print resources accessible. So if I switch to the camera, we've now got printed worksheets. And again, we can do things like zoom into the printed worksheets, explore the screen, all of those sorts of good things. We can even have that text read back to us from printed resources as well. So if I press the open in doc reader button, it's then going to do a scan and read, and we can then have our print resources read back to us.
E-chapter questions for To Kill a Mockingbird Part 1 Chapter 1.
So there's lots and lots of ways that Supernova is making curriculum content accessible. So if we close the doc reader, and we'll go back into our camera. So there's lots of ways that Supernova is making curriculum content accessible, whether that's books, whiteboard, print-based resources, and being able to complete our work within Microsoft Office applications as well. But what happens when we've got content that isn't text-based, that's perhaps image-based? And this has always traditionally been quite tricky for assistive technology to use. So if we switch over to a diagram, for example, and now a diagram. So this is a diagram of a volcano. I'll just zoom out a little bit so we can see we've got a diagram of a volcano up on the screen. Now, this is the type of content which is traditionally more difficult for students to kind of interact with and access independently. Students are very reliant often on teachers or teaching assistants to kind of talk through what's on the screen. If we do zoom in and try and explore using magnification, it can be quite difficult to kind of gain the context of where you are on the screen for young people with low vision. But this is where, as we mentioned, we can use AI tools to actually make more content accessible. So in this first example of a diagram, I can press the Ask AI button within our camera feature. And we now have the option to describe this image. So if I press Ask AI, I'm now going to get a full description of the image from the AI. So this is helping to remove barriers for young people who are vision impaired by having diagrams and other content accessible to them. And you can then have this content read back to you.
The image is an educational diagram titled Anatomy of a Volcano. It illustrates the different parts of a volcano with labels pointing to each section.
So the great thing here as well is that the description that you're provided by the AI is really well detailed, and you can ask follow-up questions as well. So we've kind of got lots of information there about the crater, the lava flow, the central vent, all the information that that young person needs to really engage with his content, and probably a little bit more information than what would be provided if a teaching assistant were to be going through the content as well. So that's one example for using AI for a diagram, but there's lots of other types of visual-based content that we can be making accessible as well. So on a second example, we've got a simple bar chart. We can use the AI feature again to describe this image, or we could ask specific questions. So this is a diagram which is about the temperature, a chart which is about the temperature throughout the month. So we could ask a question such as, which month has the highest temperature? And we can ask the AI, and then it will come back with the answer saying July has the highest temperature. And if we wanted to ask follow-up questions, what is the average temperature in July? All of those sorts of things, really to get a better understanding of this visual content, we can do that as well. So this works well with all sorts of different diagrams, all sorts of different charts, and it also works in a number of different instances as well. So we have, you can use the image description feature, which uses AI for anything which is copied to the clipboard. You can use it to describe the entire screen. You can use it, as I am today, using the camera. You can also use it within the whiteboard as well. And in this example here, if there's a teacher who's had some handwritten notes which have been added to the screen, to the whiteboard screen, or how I have here, I've just put some handwritten notes here onto this worksheet, I can use the AI and it will even come back and read the handwriting. So if I ask the AI to read the handwriting, then the AI is going to come back, it's going to look for the handwriting, and this is handwriting is actually content which, you know, traditionally has been completely inaccessible and needs somebody like a teaching assistant to help with, because even the best scanning tools will really struggle with handwriting, whereas using the AI, it's come back, homework, read chapter 6 of your science book to understand the role of different components within an atom. We have a quiz tomorrow to find out what you've learned. So, you know, we can really help here with Supernova to make, using AI responsibly, to make more content accessible. Within Supernova, we've been through the ways that we can make images and image-based material accessible, but we're actually using AI within our help system as well. And this really helps to kind of remove barriers to learning the assistive technology. So rather than having to kind of trawl through a user manual or go and find a video online, you know, I can ask a question to Supernova and it's going to use AI to find the answer for me and give me steps to make it, give me steps to actually resolve that. So if I ask, how do I change the mouse pointer, for example, then the AI is going to look through our help manual. It's going to look through all of our learning zone materials and our CPD accredited courses. It's going to do all the hard work for us and just give us a simple step-by-step instructions for how to change the mouse pointer.
Results to change the mouse pointer in Supernova. Follow these steps. 1. Open the Supernova control panel. 2. Navigate to the visual menu. 3. Select mouse pointers.
So really nice, clear instructions. So it's another example of how we're using AI within our products here at Dolphin to kind of remove barriers and enable students to learn in a way which is accessible for them. So we've covered the first scenario, very much focusing on young people in education with Supernova and how it provides accessibility throughout the school day. And now with AI tools is making even more visual-based content accessible. We're going to move on now to our second example. So we'll go back to our PowerPoint slides. And if I press the right button, then we can go back to our PowerPoint slides. So we'll go, and the next product we're going to be looking at is a product called Guide Connect. So Guide Connect is all about making making it easy for people with sight loss to be independent, to stay connected and entertained. So with Guide Connect, we're often talking about making the computer easier to use for perhaps people who are a little bit older and maybe having lost their sight later in life. Try to open Guide Connect. But equally, we know that there's lots of young people who are visually impaired that may benefit from a simplified way to use their computer, where Windows and Windows applications like Microsoft Word might be a little bit too complex to use. So this is where a program like Guide Connect comes in, because it's all about making the computer environment easier to use. Actually, the example that we had from VIEW, the umbrella organisation for qualified teachers for vision impaired young people, was actually 50% of young people who are vision impaired have an additional disability, and often quite complex needs. So products like Guide Connect are very much designed to empower people who have maybe lost their sight later in life, but equally are very useful for young people in education who perhaps just need a simpler way of approaching a computer. But the way that Guide Connect works is it provides step-by-step menus for completing everyday activities in a way which is accessible. And it does this with accessibility built in. So as is shown on the PowerPoint slides, Guide Connect has got great big tiles and icons with large text to make it nice and clear. It's using accessible colors, but it also has voice announcements as well to make sure that it's nice and clear what the individual who's using the product needs to do next. But ultimately, Guide Connect is ideal for anyone who's needing a simpler way to complete everyday activities. So I'll stop sharing and we'll move back to our Guide Connect. So we've now got Guide Connect up on the screen. And as we mentioned before, Guide Connect is designed to be nice and easy to use and with accessibility in its core. So with Guide Connect, I can explore the screen using the mouse pointer again. I can use the keyboard to go to the next and previous items, or I can use the touch screen as well, and I can use the touch screen to kind of change the zoom level or to select the different options that are on the screen as well. It's all about a simplified sort of approach. We also have, as I mentioned, clear announcements. So if I turn the voice on,
voice on.
So when you move from item to item with Guide Connect, it gives you really nice, clear instructions about what to do next.
Letters and documents to a 14. To read and write letters and documents, select this option.
So really nice, clear instructions, really to help people who maybe need a simpler approach to using assistive technology, so that they can, they're reassured with what to do next. And then when we go into the options, we have these step-by-step menus to take all of the complexity out of it. So if we go into letters and documents, we now have a next set of menus with options such as, do you want to open your recent documents? Do you want to open your list of documents? Or do you want to write a new document? And then if we go into new documents.
My new document. New document. Please type your text, then use the actions menu for more options. Voice dictation is available.
So the message said, type your text, and we can do that using the keyboard. We've also got a high contrast on-screen keyboard if people are using the touch screen, and you can also use dictation as well to dictate messages. But fundamentally, when you're typing, Guide Connect will be reading back as you type every character and every word.
Capital THANK, thank YOU space FOR for space SCO MIH Cummings TODNY today space.
So thank you for coming today, and you, as somebody who needs a simplified approach, you get lots of support from the speech to make sure that you're writing what you're writing is correct as well, whether you're using voice dictation or whether you're using the keyboard to type. The announcement also said actions are available, and there's a blue button right at the top left of the screen. So if we open that, it's going to open our actions that are available.
Actions, there are 6 options.
So the actions menu within Guide Connect is a group of all of the different things that we can do with it, with this document. We can save it, we can spell check it, we can look up a word, all of those different things. are all contained within one simple menu. So again, it's all about being focused on being nice and easy to use for people with sight loss. So we'll come out of Guide Connect.
Save changes. No. Letters and documents, main menu.
And we'll go back to the main menu. So the point there is that it's very simple to use, whether you're writing documents, sending emails, but there's so much that you can do with Guide Connect through this simplified approach. You can send emails, you can write letters and documents, you can visit web pages, you can read print-based resources using a scanner or a camera as well. You can stay entertained with books, talking books, with newspapers, with podcasts and radio stations as well. You've even got some games built into it, and you can stay organized with your calendar and address book. So it's an incredibly powerful tool, but a very easy tool to get to grips with and use. But let's have a look actually about how we're using AI within a tool like Guide Connect to help people to access more content and be independent. And we actually have the same functionality as what we mentioned with Supernova in terms of image descriptions is available within Guide Connect, but perhaps have different sorts of benefits and different use cases. So for example, with Supernova in an education setting, we've been using the examples of charts, of diagrams. But if we're talking about Guide Connect, what about, what other kind of materials which are available around the home, which are traditionally inaccessible? For example, newspaper clippings or family photos or other image-based content, or Christmas cards or greetings cards, and these sorts of things, which are traditionally inaccessible and require people to kind of be reliant on others to kind of read this back to them. Whereas actually what we're trying to do with the assistive technology is empower people to be more independent. So if we use the example of a Christmas card, and we'll go through the same sort of process with in Guide Connect, we can actually use the scanner and camera feature to have that content read back to us. So we'll open the scanner.
Letters and documents, websites, scanner and camera.
So we'll open scanner and camera.
Scanner and camera. There are 4 options. Scanner, 1 of 4, camera, 2 of 4, capture image, press enter to capture an image. There are actions available.
So we've got our greetings card. So if I use the touchscreen to zoom out a little bit, this is our greetings card that we've got. It's a very simple greetings card, and we've got a little bit of text within there as well. And Guide Connect said press enter to capture the image, so we'll press enter.
Scanned image. Use the actions menu for more options.
So use the actions menu for more options. Now, what we can do here is we can zoom in, we can explore using our sight, but as you can see, it can be a little bit tricky when you're zooming in to explore, and we can lose context. We can do things like use the actions menu.
This image action.
To rotate the image.
Change rotate. Image rotated.
So we've rotated the image so it's the right way up. We can do all of those things and kind of interact with it using our remaining sight, but we can also use the AI tools to have image descriptions. And this isn't just going to pick up on the image descriptions for the text, for the printed text, it's also going to work for the handwriting as well.
This image actions.
So if I open the actions menu, I can describe this image.
Input area, ask a question, voice to please wait. The image shows an open birthday card addressed to Nana Rosie. The card features a serene design with a light blue background, seagulls, and a small boat illustration. The message inside reads, "Wishing you a day filled with simple pleasures and special moments. Enjoy your birthday. Lots of love, Helen, Dave, Sam, Max, and Buster the dog." There is a small drawing of a dog with a speech bubble saying woof woof and several X marks representing kisses.
So the AI has done a really, really great job here of making this, to be honest, quite emotive content with a Christmas card or greetings card that perhaps people with sight loss may be not able to access, and making that accessible so they can read and engage with that independently. It's even picked up on my picture of a dog with a little speech bubble saying woof woof. It's done a really, really great job about making that inaccessible content more accessible as well. So that's how we're kind of, and we've also, as I mentioned with Supernova, we have facilities using AI to help people to understand how to use the product. We have exactly the same in the help system in Guide Connect as well. But I really wanted to move on and talk about a third assistive technology product, which we have at Dolphin, which is called Easy Reader, and actually have a look not just in terms of how we're using assistive technology today, but how we're going to be using assistive technology in the future as well to make even more content accessible. So I'm now sharing the PowerPoint slides again, and we're going to go through Easy Reader. So I'll just close down Guide Connect, and then we'll get on to Easy Reader. Okay, so Easy Reader, and this year is the National Year of Reading, and Easy Reader is all about empowering people with special education needs to be able to read and learn in a way that's accessible for them. So we know that there's lots of young people who are kind of struggling to read due to kind of print-based disabilities, whether we're talking young people who are visually impaired or young people who are dyslexic, or have maybe struggle with focus and attention due to ADHD, and print-based resources just aren't ideal. So with Easy Reader, we're providing a flexible reading accommodation to enable students throughout a school or a college or a university to have all their curriculum materials available on their device of choice and read them in a way that's accessible to them. So with Easy Reader, we're talking about an accessible reading environment so that young people can read using their choice of text size, colours, font spacing, and natural sounding voices, which are highlighting each word. It's available on a range of devices. So I'm going to quickly show you the Windows version of Easy Reader, but Easy Reader is also available on iPads and iPhones, Android smartphones and tablets, and also Chromebooks, which are allowed to run Android apps as well. Easy Reader also includes access to a range of accessible libraries for curriculum content. So we work with and connect to the RNIB Bookshare Education Collection, which includes more than 1 million, I think it's 1.3 million curriculum titles for students to read in accessible formats. And we also work with libraries such as Calibre Audio, which provides young people in education with audiobook content to really instill that joy of reading as well. But the key thing with Easy Reader, we know that there's 17% of young people, according to the government's latest statistics, which are receiving special education needs provision, and many would benefit from a more accessible way to read. So with Easy Reader, we're talking about a flexible reading accommodation to support people with a diverse range of needs, whether they're neurodivergent because of dyslexia or dyspraxia, or have ADHD, whether they're vision impaired or have other special education needs. Easy Reader is accommodation which is flexible to support them as well. So we'll stop sharing it and we'll go back into showing the screen. So we've got Easy Reader. I'll just stop it from being blurry. I do apologize if the screen has been a little bit blurry today. We have a couple of issues with our sort of camera settings to show the screen. But what I'm showing you here is Easy Reader on a Windows device, but equally Easy Reader, as I mentioned, is available not just on laptops and Windows devices, but also on your iPad, your iPhone, your Android smartphones and tablets, etc. So you can download the app. It's free to download on any of the devices that you're using to read at school or that your students are using to read at home as well. So the great thing with Easy Reader is about being able to read all of your curriculum content and provide an essential gateway to all of your books for school, whether that's core texts or teacher shared content as well. So as I mentioned, we connect to the RNIB Bookshare Education Collection. So I've just opened the RNIB Bookshare service, and this is where we can start to search for content. So the great thing with RNIB Bookshare, it's a free service for educators and any young person who has what the RNIB term a print-based disability is eligible. So this includes young people who are dyslexic, young people who have ADHD, are autistic, as well as young people who are visually impaired or have maybe a physical disability preventing them from turning a page. But the great thing is that it covers, the collection covers the entire education landscape. So if I was to look for sort of primary age reading, and we can search for something like The Great Fire of London, then we've got content which is available for early years reading. It also includes the kind of Biff, Chip and Oxford Reading Tree content as well. If we wanted sort of secondary school, high school content like To Kill a Mockingbird, we've got titles available, GCSE notes and different versions of the book available. As well, or if we're looking to study for exams and make sure that we succeed in our exams, you've got access to all of the different revision guides, whereas Key Stage 2, A-level, GCSE revision guides, and you've got lots and lots of different revision guides which are available. So you can get access to all of your core texts for reading through Arnaby Bookshare. And the other great thing is if there's content which isn't available, you can request it as well. So lots and lots of content there. As I mentioned, we also connect to audiobook library services like Calibre Audio, which again are free for young people with print-based disabilities. And that includes audiobooks, which is great for instilling that joy of reading. But we also work with services like Google Classroom and Microsoft's Education as well. I was saying I need to sign into Google Classroom. And that is all about making teacher shared content accessible. So if teachers have got worksheets that need to be made available for students, then they can, they have a gateway with EasyReader to all of their learning materials to read in a way that's accessible for them. So if we just cancel that and we go into our My Books, once we open a book in the reader, this is when we can start to customize the reader because it's flexible to meet different needs as well. So here I have sort of sepia colors. I can choose more high contrast colors if I'm supporting young people who are vision impaired and maybe prefer to read with darker backgrounds or lighter backgrounds. If there's particular colors that I really wanted, for example, maybe the background color was light blue, or it's probably a bad example. I'll go back to a different theme before I do that. We can really customize the colors so they're accessible, whether we have young people who are dyslexic and prefer softer colors, maybe have Erling syndrome and need particular colors on the screen, or if we have young people who are vision impaired and need more high contrast colors to be able to read the text. We can customize the text size and spacing to make it accessible. When you're increasing the text size, it wraps to the screen as well, so it doesn't go off the edge of a visible screen when you're using it. We can also help with young people who maybe find that there's too much text on the screen and it's a little bit overwhelming. So we can set it to sort of show 1 or 3 or 5 lines of text at a time, which makes a much more immersive reading experience. And when you use the play option with EasyReader, we've actually included in our education plan, which is available for schools, high quality reading voices. So when you press the play button, it's a nice natural sounding voice reading the content back. Ooh. One moment.
About his injury. His left arm was somewhat shorter than his right when he stood or walked. The back of his hand was at right angles to his body, his thumb parallel to his thigh.
So I accidentally turned the audio off on the laptop there, which is why it didn't start playing straight away. But it's a really nice, natural sounding voice that you're using to read. So this is EasyReader, and as I mentioned, it's all about making text accessible. And so we can take this content, we can skip to different chapters, we can add bookmarks and notes and all of those sorts of things that you expect to do with a digital book. But how are we using AI to actually empower students in the future? So what I'm going to show you now is actually taking EasyReader to the next level. So whereas what we've been talking about there with EasyReader today is very much around accessibility and being able to access that text, what we're looking to do going forward is being able to take that text and use AI to help our young people to gain a better understanding of the content that they're reading, whether that's through creating summaries or support for more auditory learners or visual learners as well. So I'm going to open up a little web page. We've been looking at To Kill a Mockingbird, and this is our a little playground that we've made for our development. You're basically right now you're looking into the Dolphin laboratory where we're trying out new ideas in how we can embed AI into our assistive technology to make to help young people to read and learn in a way they find accessible. So what you see today isn't how it's going to end up looking like. This is just an example, but what we're looking at is the functions, and these functions are tools that we are looking to include in EasyReader within the next few months as well. So we've got our text from chapter 1 of To Kill a Mockingbird, and the first thing that we can do is create a summary, because when you're sort of reading text, you know, there's still quite a lot of information there, and it can be quite difficult once you've read a whole chapter to actually decode that and pick out the key points from a text. So for young people who are dyslexic or young people with special education needs may be benefiting from being able to build their own summary, just to kind of re-evaluate, you know, re-articulate the key points. So we can generate a summary. So we've just generated from that whole chapter of text, the whole of To Kill a Mockingbird chapter 1, which you can see here, lots and lots and lots of text. And we've generated a short summary, which we can actually have read back to us as well.
This chapter introduces Scout and her older brother Jem, who live with their father Atticus in the old town of Macomb. When their summer friend Dill arrives, he becomes fascinated by their mysterious neighbor.
So we can stop that at any time. But yeah, that's the first thing that we can do, is help to kind of get the overall picture. We can create a short summary or a long summary just to help make sure that once we've read that content, that we clearly understand what the content means as well. I'll just stop it from being, I think it's still a bit blurry there. Stop it from being a little bit less blurry. As well as reading the content, we're actually building tools which can help with comprehension and understanding as well. So there's a few different ways that we're doing that. First of all, we've got what we've called a Q&A tutor, and this allows us to ask some questions about the text. So we've got our text for To Kill a Mockingbird, and we can ask it something like, why did the family leave England? And now, as we mentioned at the start of this presentation, we're using AI in a responsible way. So you can ask these questions, but it's a more responsible way is actually, rather than just giving the answer, is guiding and scaffolding the young person's learning so that they can find the information for themselves in the text rather than actually just being given the answer. So let's just hear what the AI came back with off the back of our question.
That's a great question. The text talks about why Simon Finch, an ancestor of the family, decided to leave England. Can you find the paragraph that introduces Simon Finch and describes his life in England? It mentions what irritated him there.
So there, as mentioned, we're not giving the answer. We're kind of guiding the and using a more scaffolding approach to guide the student to finding the answer for themselves. So we're using AI in a more responsible way, rather than just giving the answers. And similarly, we can, as well as having a sort of Q&A session, we've also got the option to generate quiz questions. So we can generate a quiz based on chapter 1 of To Kill a Mockingbird, and we can answer these questions. Why did Simon Finch leave England? So we'll just select option 1 there and submit answer. So I know that option 1 is wrong, but rather than giving me the answer and saying what the right answer is, again, I've been given the response said that's a good thought about Simon Finch's motivations. He certainly did want to establish a family later on. However, the text indicates that finding a wife was something he did after he settled in America. And then it kind of guides the student to where they can find out more information in the book, rather than giving the answer. So we're talking about helping our young people to be more active with their learning. And if we've got quizzes coming up, or we need to do revision, we can use the AI to generate flashcards and revision cards as well. So if we do this, we're generating some flashcards. So we've now got 5 different revision cards with a question and answer, and we can be using these to test our knowledge as well. So we've explored a little bit how we can help to summarize the text, how we can embed comprehension and help with comprehension and guided reading activities. But we've also got ways to help our young people to read in a way, take that content, but read in a way which is suiting their learning style. So, for example, we know that there are young people who are more visual learners. So rather than having to be so reliant on the text, we don't want to replace the students reading the text, but perhaps as a way of summarizing or encoding, decoding this information, a mind map might be a more suitable tool for people who are more visual learners. So we can use the AI to generate mind maps. So it's just generated a mind map. So we've created a mind map now, all based on chapter 1 of To Kill a Mockingbird, which is a really great thing for people who are more visual based learners. And similarly, if we have learners who are perhaps more visual based, more auditory based learners and prefer actually listening to text, we can be using the AI in the future to be doing things like generating a podcast where we've got 2 different characters who are actually talking about the text which is being read. So I've made a podcast earlier and I can just play through that just to give you an example.
Ever wonder when a story truly begins? Is it a sudden event like Jem breaking his arm, or does it stretch back through generations? The Finch family history.
Wait, so Jem's broken arm isn't actually the start? I thought that was the kickoff moment.
Great question. It's like tracing a tree's roots. Some say the Yules started it, others...
So we've generated a podcast there with 2 characters who are talking about the text. And this, for some young people, maybe, as I mentioned, more auditory-based learners, is a really good way of understanding that text in a way that works for them. So really what we're talking about is enhancing the personalization and using these tools in a responsible way so that young people can actually engage with the text in a way that works for them, for their learning style, and encourage them to be more active rather than sort of passive with their learning as well. So as I mentioned, this is a bit of a sneak peek into the sort of future and the Dolphin laboratory, but we are looking to implement some of these tools in the near future for Easy Reader so that we're providing assistive technology to be able to access and read your curriculum material, but then also take your learning to the next level by using AI to create summaries, empower comprehension, and understand and decode this information in a way that young people find works for them as well. So we'll just flick back to the PowerPoint slides, and I'll start sharing the PowerPoint slides. And I think I need to switch back. There we go. And okay, so we have been through quite a lot of content today, so hopefully everyone was following along and the text on the screen wasn't too blurry. I noticed we did have a little bit of a problem with the blur from my camera. I do apologise for that. But let's just do a little bit of a recap in terms of the assistive technology and how the AI tools are actually helping to make more content accessible. So for young people with special education needs, the assistive technology is doing a fantastic job already in terms of removing barriers to learning, whether that's with Supernova and being able to use your Windows laptop, whether it's with Guide Connect or Easy Reader for access to curriculum materials, to empower students to be more independent. But then the AI tools are helping to then reframe that content, whether that's image-based content in Supernova or actually reframing text-based content in Easy Reader so that young people can be learning in a way that works for them and promoting active learning as opposed to more passive learning, which is dependent on maybe teaching assistants to read back text or remove those accessibility barriers for them. For the IT team within an education institution, by using AI within assistive tech, we're actually being more responsible in how we use it. So we're not sharing or storing data. We're not, and the AI is focusing on the content it's given and safeguarding against inappropriate use. And the IT team are also going to be happy that there are options to disable the AI functionality if it doesn't meet their IT policy. And finally, for educators and for teachers, we're talking about reducing the time spent reading or describing content and making sure that there's more time for teachers and teaching assistants to be spent supporting learners to gain a greater understanding and greater level of depth with what they're learning as well. So I did hope to leave a little bit of time for questions. Nick, have there been any questions as we've been kind of going through?
No, we haven't got any questions, and I think we're pretty much at time as well. So is there anything you wanted to add about how people can get in contact with you?
Absolutely, yes. So in terms of further information, we've got lots of information about our assistive technology products available on the Dolphin website, which is yourdolphin.com and /education to find out more about our education offers. On the Dolphin website, you can explore the different Dolphin products, Supernova, Guide Connect and Easy Reader. You can try Dolphin products free for 30 days and download a free 30-day trial. And you can also visit our Learning Zone, where we have CPD accredited courses specifically for educators and for assistive technology assessors and trainers, so that you can gain those CPD credits and support the students that are using the assistive technology as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So on that note, we're going to end. I mean, I have to say, I was just absolutely blown away. I wrote loads and loads of notes, Simon. And I just think the personalization, the independence that your users can use as a result of using these products are just incredible. So thanks for that really comprehensive look over it all. And if you want more information, obviously we've had that here, and there'll be more information around it. So thanks very much, everyone.
Microlink Education, home of the neuro-inclusive classroom.